But are you likable? You got jokes, you're the host, stand up. Are you likable?
Hello and welcome to Likable, a show where we discuss stand-up comedy from an entry-level perspective. I'm your host, David Stickle, and today I'm joined by AJ Jordan. AJ, how are you?
I'm doing great, man. How are you doing, Dave?
I am doing fantastic. Remembering to turn on the on-air sign as we speak. Doing so wonderful.
It's not real till the on-air sign's up.
That's for sure. Yeah. People need to know that we're doing stuff in here and we're not just talking at each other.
Yeah,
you know?
Otherwise they don't even know the mics are on. We could just be idiots back here.
Yeah. We just found this place and we're pretending. This is the comedian's equivalent of playing house. It's so stupid. AJ, do you want to? You're a Kingston comic? Are you originally from Kingston?
I was born in Kingston, and I started in Kingston doing comedy for the first time in Kingston, and do most of my comedy in Kingston. So I think that qualifies me as a Kingston comic.
Word. Do you have Kingston? We'll talk about this in a little bit. Kingston is a very interesting scene as far as comedy is going so far. Do you have a bit that you're working on? Maybe something specific for Kingston, or just something you want to try out outside of Kingston? Anything you're...
Yeah, so I actually, it's funny that you say it that way, because I do have this bit that I kind of been workshopping in different crowds to see how it goes. But I live with my girlfriend now, and so she has pets. I'm not used to living with pets at all. And like, I'm walking around the house, you turn a corner, there's just another dude there just staring at you, like, and then he tries to talk to you, but you can't understand him. Mm-hmm. He knows all this stuff about you. Like when you're just hiding in a corner, like nobody's home, you think you're safe, maybe getting dirty to some trans porn, cat just pops in around the corner, staring at you, just meow. No, I'm not watching it again, dude. Just back up.
It's what the fuck is the one person's name? It's Daisy something. Daisy Taylor. Do you know who I'm talking about?
No, I don't. No.
Okay, that is a trans actor. Yeah, I did a deep dive on some porn stars, and it started with Owen Gray. Do you know who Owen Gray is?
I've definitely heard that name before.
Okay, so Owen Gray is this guy that does porn, and he is not trans. He's a porn actor that is like the ladies love him because it's very like sensual and all that kind of, and he's got like tattoos. He's like very much
he's like kissing the neck.
Yeah, that kind of stuff, and then it gets very rough. So my goal is to subtly do bits, and then for the characters' names in the bits, just say like Owen Gray, and then see when a young lady like perks her head up when she hears that, and then be like, gotcha, bitch.
Fucking freak.
So that's funny. So how many cats are in the house?
2 cats. And one, so this is also funny. I just think this is funny. Thing about the cat. He was the only cat of his litter.
Okay.
So he is like the most dog-like cat. Like he just doesn't act like a cat. You think cats, you get them, they go away. They do their thing. Maybe they'll come ask for a pet here and there. He like thinks he's the center of the universe. Okay. It's so funny. Yeah. He just is always poking around, doing things. He gets jealous of the other cat.
Really?
Yeah. It's funny because he has like a full range of emotions because he's never had to deal with there's 7 other cats in the litter, and nobody's really special.
And he's not a sociopath like most.
No, he's definitely a sociopath.
Oh, he is.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's tight.
But he's like the runt and the alpha at the same time. It makes no sense.
Wow. So what's this cat's name?
His name is Bill. Bill is shortened from William Shakespeare, which that's how my girlfriend adopted him. So I love that. I can't really judge her that as much as I want to.
No, that's something I would do. That's for sure. William Shakespeare. I love that.
She brought him to the vet and changed his name because they were like, yes, William Shakespeare, and she was like, this is too long. Yeah. They couldn't even print it on his little medicine bottle.
That's so funny that William Shakespeare gets a prescription. That's great. There was a stand-up comic that had I want to say it was Mike Birbiglia, but he talks about his roommate and his roommate's cat named Dave Meowthews. I'm like, I fucking love
That's
that.
great.
I love that so much.
I in a similar vein, just want to get a pug and name him Frank because of Men in Black. So
Hell yeah. I wanted to get a like a black fur or like a dark brown fur corgi, and name him Dorky, the dark corgi. That would have been my that's my level of thinking for that kind of bullshit. But I love that. So are you just you're gonna do a whole bit around the stuff you watch? Or are you
yeah, well, it's more about like just getting caught watching porn.
Okay.
The look into my brain is that I have like trans homies and they've seen comedy shows and they feel like over the last few years they've just been like low hanging fruit.
Okay.
And like to
Makes
a point
sense.
where it's like some of the jokes don't even mean anything. It's just about like calling somebody trans person and then pausing for a laugh.
Okay.
So I tried to just make it inclusive. I was like trans porn. Like there's a lot of like, it's embarrassing to be caught watching any kind of porn, I think, by anybody, especially a cat, which is why I think it's funny for the bit. But also like people watch trans porn and they're just going to sit in the room and just
For
act
sure.
like they don't. So why not? We just like put a light on it. I can brush past it and then people can talk about it later.
Yeah.
Can be like a way into the conversation. But yeah, I thought of that because I was taking a shit and the cat walked in and I was like, I could have been doing something way worse than that when the cat walked in.
Depends how bad the shit is.
Yeah, no, it was like an entry level shit, you know?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, novice level. That's
No
funny.
sweat.
Yeah. So that's an interesting concept. So you're thinking about doing stuff for like the community you're doing the jokes in, or is this just
Well,
like
I think-
a thought about your friends and just like how this is like an underrepresented topic?
Yeah, I think, well, mostly it's an underrepresented topic in a way that people can be comfortable about it, right?
Gotcha.
I think also it like, funny enough, on the flip side, makes straight people uncomfortable because you can kind of see in the room like what people are not comfortable with talking about that they do behind closed doors.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
like just kind of, I always try to just call a light on things that other people wouldn't usually talk about. So that's the way I do that. But it's been getting extremely mixed reviews in Kingston, especially. And I think it's because I know we're kind of like getting ahead, but like softer, more sensitive crowds.
Yeah.
And people are like almost performative in trying to do the more politically correct thing, right? So like I'm telling this joke and there's like 6 LGBTQ people in the room and they're fucking bent over laughing. They love it. They're like, yes, we do. Like, we know people are watching trans porn. I'm watching trans porn. They think it's hilarious. And then straight white people are like, well, you said it's embarrassing to watch trans porn. That could be offensive to people. And I'm like, the same people are in the room with you laughing and they don't
Yeah.
think it's offensive at all. It's like a lot of like race jokes also don't go over well in that sense, you know?
I think it's I'm trying to pull up a bit here.
Yeah.
I think it's like the white straight people that tend to be the most sensitive.
Yeah.
And what I've just experienced. It's really funny because like you talk about it for like inclusivity and all that kind of stuff, which is true. Like they want to be represented at least in some form, and maybe not as the butt of the joke every time, but that's part of it. But it's just like so funny where like I think I've pointed this out to you before maybe, but like, somebody's on stage and they do a black joke and you're in the room, right? And then the white people turn and look at you to make sure it's okay to
Yes.
laugh, and then you're laughing. So they're like, oh, okay, I have permission to laugh.
Yes.
And that just does nothing but single you out more for being the black man
for
in the room.
I have to I have to actually, if I have a friend that's going to do a bit about race that includes like just any kind of black representation, I have to be ready to laugh because I have to be ready to have their back. Like,
Yeah.
it's crazy. And a lot of people also get so like pigeonholed into what a punchline is that they forget the 30-45 seconds of buildup that the comic is doing hard work to not like piss somebody off. They just listen to the one thing and they take it at face value and they just are like, wow, that's a fucking shitty thing that they said.
Yeah, exactly. They forget the fact, like, you know, like you could say like, I have, you know, well, I mean, this is such a fucking trope, but like, I have black friends and I love my black friends, da, da, da. And then you make one comment about black people that's not like super positive, and then it's just like, this guy hates black people.
Yeah.
It's like, no, like, you know, it's like, you know, like Bill Burr does something like that, but you know, like people forget that like, his wife is black, and you know, like
Bill Burr is in some of my favorite Chappelle skits ever.
Yeah. He's the best. Always one of the best. Yeah, you know, that's an interesting thing. So like, yeah, let's talk about Kingston a little bit, because like, I do comedy, open mics at least, the city, the Albany, West Nyack, Beacon, Rhinebeck, Kingston. You know, sometimes in Massachusetts, and just kind of like, I like to go all over to see if the same joke works. And also I just don't want to have to write so much.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get it.
Yeah. So like, when I'm in Kingston, it's just my perception. You know, for those that are not watching this or don't know what I look like, I'm a big white guy. You know, so like, it's interesting. It'd be funny that the perception that people don't just hear that. Feel like, what? I thought he was Chinese this whole time.
I was picturing Earthquake.
This is not Patrice.
Dave doesn't do the salsa during the intro.
Yeah. Or this is just like Godfrey's gone way too far with his impressions. You know? He's doing white guy for like 5 episodes now. But like, when I do Kingston, I think it's interesting because I do love the Kingston crowd, because the Kingston mics, like yours at Tubby's or like Keegan Ailes, like they actually get spectators, which is cool, because most open mics are just like comedians chilling. But like, I do notice that like, I can kind of manipulate the room a little bit with the jokes I use to warm up the crowd before I do something harsh, you know, or what Beacon wouldn't consider harsh at all, but like what
for sure
Kingston would consider very harsh. So,
it's funny because like I do like the challenge of saying what I want to say, whether it be dirty, whether it be something like, and I'm also, let me just start by saying, I'm also like a person of the community. Like I've done tons of like 4 or 5 years of community work, doing like events and working with teenagers and stuff. So like people have an entirely different perception of what they would for a normal comic. I'm like a lot of people's like little brother, or like that smiling face in the community. And then I'm talking about like getting wasted and doing blow at the bar, something like that, you know. So I have to tread super lightly around a sensitive crowd all the time, and that's just kind of how I learned to write. And I feel like that's why I can pick up and go to somewhere else, and I feel like my jokes can kind of land because I feel like I'm catering to a lot of different shit just to be able to go out and do comedy in my own town. Yeah.
I mean, it's like similar but different. I have the Krog, and I do shows and open mics there, as you know. But it's weird because I work there, you know, and I'm telling jokes about like my sexual history or like all that kind of shit. And like for the most part, I keep that world separate from, you know, it's my personal life. I keep it away from my professional life. And you know, like I'm doing these jokes about, you know, my first time trying bondage, or, you know, something that happened, you know, and it's like, yeah. And I always open it with like, I work here, don't fucking talk to me about this afterwards. And I go into it, but it's one of those things where it's like, I feel like it's helped me get closer to everybody, you know, and open up a little bit more. But like, but yeah, so like you're, you feel like you're writing, maybe I misunderstood, but you're kind of like writing jokes to work in Kingston.
To work in Kingston, but also like to work in other places, in that I'm still keeping my integrity while catering to like maybe a more PC crowd.
Word.
And I know that I can flip the switch and like go do 7 minutes of my dirtiest jokes when I go to the city or something like that, you know?
Yeah.
And that feels good to be able to like I performed for my mom on Sunday, and like people like somebody who's like, I mentored 2 of their kids, and they're like coming to see me do 10 minutes of pretty risque material, considering 4 years ago I was like with your kid after school every day, you know. I'm still the same person, but I guess people, you know, I have like a very parasocial interaction with a lot of people, and they feel like they know me already, like just because of me being around them a lot. And so then I go on stage and they're like, oh, I know this guy. And then they realize they have no idea.
Yeah.
But I have to also keep them to be a friend when I leave here, you know? So it's like this weekend we did a show for 350 people.
Hell yeah.
And it was like almost all locals. It was really fucking dope. But the biggest thing was like, my mom's in the crowd. Like I said, like my girlfriend was there. Her family's there. They don't really know me that well. They're about to have a whole different view of me. Mm-hmm. My mom said on the way over here, I was talking to my mom and she was saying that everybody, like the immediate like 50 people around her were all like 1 degree of separation. Like they all knew me from something else and just happened to be sitting together in the crowd.
Yeah.
And so now they're all like looking at my mom and my girlfriend, like 50 people, like they know, everybody knows everything about me. So it's like, yeah, it's weird. It's weird having to write like that, but also I'm like finding a way to write about the shit I want to talk about in my own like backyard and doing it in a politically correct way, which is a challenge that I'm happy I've had to learn how to write like that now and not have been into comedy a year and have to be like, oh shit, I have to change all my jokes around to make it work here and this. And I feel like I have like a pretty baseline knowledge of what works.
That's a good way to put it, because like in a lot of ways it's a bit easier to kind of just be like a nobody in your town and to just kind of show up, do your crazy fucking joke that everybody's like, whoa, and then you just walk away, right? And then you don't have to fucking examine any of the recourse for any of that kind of shit. But I mean, you're involved in the community, so yeah, that's definitely something we can kind of bond over.
Yeah, like a great example is I did this. The first show I ever produced was back in August. I put together like a variety show where some of my favorite bands, local songwriters, came and played, but we also did an hour of comedy. And I talked about like old like sexual history things like you're talking about. And the number one thing I got was like, wow, great job. You've had sex before? I'm like, wait, what? What do you, yes, I'm not the most innocent man. What do you, am I ugly? Is that what you're saying? I don't understand where this comes from. I'm at work like a week later and this girl, literally the same age as me, like maybe 6 to 8 months older than me. She goes, AJ, you, what? You do that? You eat pussy? And I was like, yes, I've eaten pussy before. And she's like, but you're like my little brother. And I just looked at her and I said, Hannah, aren't we both 25 right now? And she was like, yeah, but you're like my little brother.
Yeah.
So that's what I have to deal with.
Do you think Hannah just thinks of you that way, or she just profiled you?
I don't know, actually. I think she does think of me that way a little bit, but also she dates a friend of mine, another fellow comic, and he's older than us. He's like in his like early mid 30s, and so he's like, ever since I started dating Hannah, she just thinks she's like 33 in her head. She's just like, oh my god, those little young kids. She's us. She is us.
Yeah. That's funny. It's weird. Just to speak on Hannah for a second, I'm 34, right? And every time I have to remember how old I am, I'm just like, oh yeah, all the other comics are like 25, 26, 27. I'm like, son of a bitch. Like, I'm old as fuck compared to you guys. Yeah. Complete shift in life.
Yeah.
So that's funny. So like, you should mention that on stage, just for the sense of just like, my friends thought I was a virgin.
Yeah, like I guess everybody thought I am a virgin. I'm an innocent, sweet baby boy.
That's a blow to the ego.
Yeah, like I thought I looked like I fuck, guys. I don't know.
Little sip break there. That's so funny. Dude, that's wild. I was doing an open mic not super long ago, and I had this joke about my friend who uses, and I've actually said it on different shows on this station before. Shout out Radio Free Rhinecliff, but shout out Norm. I did a joke about my friend who has a pocket pussy. Okay. Now in hindsight, could have said fleshlight, right? But I said pocket pussy like 15 times in this thing because I kept referring to the device, right? And it never occurred to me, but like much later, and I never say the word pussy on stage, right? Except for that joke. And this woman who's a customer at the bar, she comes up to me and she goes, "Are you having your comedy shows soon?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I think we're gonna do one this day." Da da da. And she goes, "All right, well, are you gonna do risque jokes?" And I'm like, "Well, I usually talk about sex and stuff." She goes, "Well, are you gonna say the P word?" And I'm like penis? Like I was like, I immediately went there. And she goes, "No." And she like whispered. She whispered the word.
Fuck it, pussy.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, I don't say that word that often. She was like, no, I heard you say it a lot. And I'm like, that's one joke. Like, you're fucking killing me. That was brutal. It's weird. Like, people get just like a little sample of your material.
Oh, I know.
And then it's just like, oh, this is what he jokes about.
So I did the show that I don't think they do it anymore in the city, but it's called the Comedy Lottery, and it's like it's a random bucket pull show, and you get 3 minutes. And I did like a minute of jokes about smoking cigarettes. At the time, I was like, you remember, I was smoking cigarettes a lot. I was going through it, having a bad time in life, smoking a bunch of cigarettes. I didn't think it came across that I said that much about it. But as soon as you're done, they judge you, and they were just like, so you smoke cigarettes, huh? And I was like, wait, oh shit. Did I just develop an identity? And then I came home, and like every open mic, somebody's like, yo, you want to go smoke a cigarette? And I'm like, Jesus, I just made myself an identity. I had smoked cigarettes in total for 4 months, and that's all that comedy knew me as, was the cigarette guy.
That's brutal.
And so now I'm more conscious about what I write about.
Yeah, for sure. I try to mix it up because I do sex material, but I'm trying to get away from that and do cleaner stuff. It's a real challenge for me. It's so easy to talk about your penis.
Oh yeah,
your penis is
yeah, mine. Yeah, it's memorable.
I talk about yours. Yeah, yeah. Pause. I just learned that word.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's new to me. I
love that. I love that.
Trying to learn current words for the kiddos. But I'll do like dumb jokes about like the farm and stuff, and everybody just remembers me as the farmer, you know?
Okay.
Yeah, which is funny because I'm not really a farmer, but I live on a farm. So,
okay.
Yeah.
No, I definitely see that. I was celibate for a long time, and like that's not, by no means is that any part of anybody's identity. Like that this guy is actively choosing not to have sex, but when you talk about it on stage, that's what people remember.
Yeah, for sure. Which is so weird to think about, you know? It's just like people don't like separate the fact that this might just be a performance. Yeah, you know,
they can't.
Yeah.
And that's another thing to bring it back like to Kingston, where I feel like that line is so thin, if it even exists, to where people think you have an agenda because you made a joke. It's so tough. It's hard. That's why I'm trying to write about like sillier things so that people can see it's clearly a joke.
Yeah, it almost helps to, I think, open up with an absurdity.
Yeah.
Or like, you know, something so hypocritical. So like my joke, I like, it's easy to pick on Elon Musk in Kingston, right? For me, it is, you know, and like, it's an easy way for me to like get up there and let everybody know, like, we think similarly, right? This guy's ridiculous. Respect what he's done as far as like his business, but like what he's doing now, I don't, right? Yeah. We're not going to get political, but it was easy. I was at one of the Tubbies mics. I opened up with like a couple jokes about Elon, and then I made fun of the dudes who bought his car way before these were starting to get keyed, but like the dudes who bought his car as a form of virtue signaling that they were like, you know, up with the times before Elon made the turn, right? Yeah. And that was really funny because then I got everybody to be like, all right, a little hypocritical for us to do that, you know? And then I made jokes about skin color, which I felt like was an easy way to get into that because I was like, Elon is, you know, an alien, you know, clearly because, you know, he's like, he's South African, but he's lighter skinned than people from North Africa. Yeah. You know, it was,
great.
Yeah. Yeah. Dumb observation, you know, but it's just like, it's such a dumb joke about like how the character on stage is ignorant, but I had them on my side from picking on Elon going into it, you know?
That's like my approach with that, also with like the trans porn joke, because I was like, all right, you know, how can we get into like a meaty subject, pause, yeah. How can we get into this topic? Cats, come on, everybody loves cats. I even like sometimes I'll like start it out with like a little crowd work. Hey, who's got a pet? Anybody want to talk about their pet? The first time I did the joke, I was like, okay, I had somebody start talking about their pet. Like, what's your pet's name? They say it, and then now everybody in the room starts talking, and I let one other person do it. The third person felt like they could, and I go, hey, I said one person, and then I'll like bring it back, talk about the cats, living with the cats, get to the trans porn thing. So similar vein, I definitely get what you mean. You got to start with something absurd or like adorable or something, and just work your way into it.
Yeah. There's a craft to it. It's also talking about your joke. It's actually kind of funny that the concept of there is a pussy cat watching you divert from into another realm of, of subjects to play with.
But it's the original inspiration for that joke also comes from me just scrolling through Instagram and seeing people with pets and social media, and like how they do that fucking dumbass dog voice. Like, Mommy, Daddy took me on a hike today. I drank a lot of water, had so much fun, found a bone. We don't fucking care, you know? And like, your pet would not say that. Your pet would be like, Mommy and Daddy fought for 2 hours while they climbed a mountain. You know what I mean? Like, this fucking fat fuck ordered Chinese food 3 days in a row. Like, those are the this guy watched trans porn and then hugged his girlfriend when she came home. Like, that's the kind of thing. That's the kind of things that cats would say if they had social media.
Daddy liked so and so's Instagram post and Mommy saw. Daddy's fucked.
Daddy tried to bring the Flash to dinner again.
That's awesome. That's so funny. So you've got the mics going on, and so Tubby's is once a month?
Tubby's is pretty much once a month. So they book a lot of different kinds of shows. Sometimes I'll get bumped, but we pretty much always comes back. It always comes back. I would say like every 6 weeks or so. If I miss a month, I'm definitely like the first week of the following month. So I would say every 6 weeks or so, which is just cool to have that at all. But I'm trying to, Christina also, who does the night swim mics, we're going to join forces and start like just doing everything under one umbrella network. So we'll also have the night swim mics every first and third Wednesday. Yeah.
It'd be cool to get the out to lunch Mike involved with that too, if he's open to it. But also like as the Krog one, I would also like to jump in on that.
Hell yeah.
Just because like exposure for my mic is my turnout's been pretty low.
I mean, the thing is like if we all get our individual crowds to come together for each other's stuff, that's the goal. You know, like just make bigger spaces for all of us to keep doing our stuff.
Yeah, because I mean, I think one of the cooler things about like the Beacon scene is that you'll get like 20 to 25 people, and you know, like maybe 18 or 20 of them are doing comedy, and then you've got like 5 spectators, which is pretty cool. But I mean, it does turn into like a good room for feedback and stuff like that. You know, but it's tough when like when I do a mic in Rhinebeck, like my last couple have had like 6 or 7 turnout, and as a result, like I'm just letting people do 10 minutes instead of 5, which is cool. You know, it fills up time, and people get to do a little bit longer form that they don't usually get the opportunity to do. But it's rough when there's like 5 spectators and 5 comics, and it's all like rough material, and you know, it's just like it's tough. That's really tough.
Yeah, definitely. And it sometimes I like that though. You know what I mean? Because sometimes the bigger mics, like especially when I'm hosting at like a Tubby's and there's like 20 people in there watching, and there's more people watching than comics. For me, it's like almost puts a lot of unnecessary pressure on comics to like do proven material. I love the space for us to like go up and fucking fuck around on stage and get no laughs. You know what I mean? Like sometimes we need that too. But
definitely the Notebook on stage, just to be like, what did I want to say here? And then because I do feel like the ego of the comic really wants to like
comes out.
Spectators here, you know, I gotta bring some kind of fire, you know.
You see guys 5 minutes ago were telling you what their set's gonna be, going and doing like the same jokes that you've seen them tell 50 times.
But it's so true. A lot of that happens, like, so I'll admit I do that sometimes.
Oh, I'll do it too.
Yeah, but that happens if I'm like, if the crowd just like was rolling and the person before me like killed it, and they just did proven material. I'm like, fuck, man, like, you know. But
you have to make that decision. Like, do I want to take the time to try something, or just like get like a really good rep under my belt?
Yeah, for sure. And like, I've definitely like what I like about the once a month kind of mics is that like I'll do a set at like 5 different venues, and then I'm just like, all right, like I have to put it away for a little bit, and then I pick a once a month mic that doesn't get the same crowd all the time, and then I'll bring it back for that because I want to work on my recall for the joke, but also I want to see if I can still like tag it up a little bit, make it like a little bit better, and I'm not just subjecting it to like Beacon again. You know, they're just like, man, we fucking heard you do the bondage story already. Like none of the like usual jokes are going to be funny, so I'm going to be panicking by the time I try the new one.
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean.
It's brutal.
Yeah. It's funny because I don't do Beacon as much, so I kind of like, I have the opposite feeling. Like I'm doing like the mics around here, and I feel like, all right, I'm going to Beacon. I got to do like, I can go do some shit that people haven't seen me do the last 6 times I got up. Yeah. And like they haven't seen it at all. So that feels good for me to be able to go over there and do that. But I also like doing my version of that set in front of comics and seeing like getting a comic reaction in the crowd for the stuff that I like feel like is okay, pretty good. Like I could do it whenever, and I'm not really taking a risk on it. But like when I can go do that and get a rep under my belt and make comics laugh, I feel great.
Yeah, it feels good. Like, you know, the expression, and this is definitely for new comics that might be listening to this, because we're going to have so many. The expression is like, you shouldn't go to open mics expecting to get laughs. Like, it's like, you know, Sully Sellers said that to me, like, when I first went to Levity Live. Levity Live was like one of my first 3 open mics. And, you know, he like was having a general discussion with the room, and then he like, you know, pulled me, so how long you been doing this? And I'm like, I don't know, like a month now. And he's like, don't expect people to laugh. And I'm like, you don't think I'm funny? And he's like, no, it's an open mic. Like comics don't laugh. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So when you get them to laugh, it's like,
that's
hell
great.
Yeah.
I definitely know, like I learned that the hard way. The first time I had really ventured too far outside of Kingston to do any comedy. The other thing for me is like I said, I'm very established in Kingston. I don't like doing a lot of comedy there because I feel like I'm not even necessarily getting pity laughs, but it's like similar to that. Like I feel like people are laughing because they know me to a certain extent. Like I don't feel like if I go out there and have a lackluster performance, I'm going to get the same appropriate read from the crowd. But like going to the city in August, the local comic Gabe Baldizzi, you know him, we went to Kill Tony both nights when they were at MSG, and I got an insane fire in me, and I stayed, like I extended my hotel stay an extra night, and I went out and did 3 open mics that night. That was the first time I hit more than 1 mic in a day, anything like that. And at the last one, I had punched up my stuff. I was like doing great, but there's only like 7 other comics in Eastville. It was at Eastville though.
Okay.
And so you know how big that room is when there's not people in there. It's like it's empty.
Yeah.
It feels empty. Like you're like hearing yourself bounce off the wall and things like that. And nobody was laughing at like the jokes that I was doing here, and they were fucking murdering. Like I was murdering with these jokes, and I realized comics don't laugh.
Yeah.
They don't like to laugh. Even if it's a good joke, they'll like do one of those, you know, like hide their laughter.
Yeah, it's the city mics are interesting because like there's not and I don't want to say this like it's frowned upon or anything like that, but I mean I'm not a big fan of it. There's not a lot of like etiquette as far as courtesy goes.
For sure.
So like at the Beacon mic, Gabe and I were there last Wednesday, and we left to go do Christina's mic in Kingston. So, I mean, if you get the opportunity in the Hudson Valley to do 2 mics in the same night, you take it, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah. So, and it wasn't like an extra hour drive. It was actually like an hour on the way back. This is perfect. So we're leaving after maybe 5 or 6 comics. Gabe and I went 1 and 2. And, you know, everybody's like, "Oh, boo, you're leaving."
Yeah,
boo.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
you just go, like, you
I know that.
Yeah. Everybody's like on your ass. But like down in the city, like, you know, there's so many mics back to back, and they all kind of also start at the same time and all this kind of stuff. So you can almost hit 4 mics in the same hour if you are very rude, and you just pop in and pop out, pop in and pop out. And that's a great way to get reps in, but it also fucking sucks if you're last. You know?
Yeah. Oh, I hate that. I hate getting there, or like a lot of them are online signups. So then you have dudes who signed up like fucking last week go first, and they just leave.
Yeah.
And then there's like 8 people that just leave right after their set, or you see the dude in the front row waiting for his friend to go, scrolling on his phone.
Yeah.
Like just sitting right in front of you on his phone, like stuff like that. And so I do kind of hate that. And also I feel like you get a better, honestly, this is a weird, like, controversial thing, and I like the city for reps, but I feel like you get a better read on material doing stuff upstate.
Yeah.
Crazy to say.
I think so. People are more comfortable up here, and you get more actual spectators.
Like real life people that are going to buy tickets come to open mics.
Yeah.
In upstate, I feel like. So it's just weird.
What's also interesting is I've been kind of kicking around this idea about, the city versus upstate and, like the shows aspect, right? So when you're doing an open mic upstate, the community's much smaller, and you're much more like, I feel like I get rewarded a lot because I go to a lot of different mics and support a lot of different people, and everybody acknowledges like, this guy's driving an hour and a half to get here. You know what I mean? Like they acknowledge that, so they want to help me and like all that kind of stuff. Versus like the city, like it's all walkable and you're just kind of like, nobody stays to talk to you afterwards. It's in and out. Like it's very, so like, but you might like get that like, oh man, like I'm doing a show in the city. I'm doing comedy in New York City. Comedy Cellar is around the corner. Like you feel really proud of yourself, which is true. You should be very proud of yourself. Getting spots down there when you're 1 in a million has got to be really fucking tough. But like also like, I've done Laugh It Up a few times now. I've worked with multiple headliners now, and it's just like, that doesn't happen for me in the city. You know what I mean? Because like my strength is being able to talk to people off the stage. And if you're not hanging out afterwards, I'm not talking to you. So it's like, I'm not getting those opportunities. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's one of those things where like, I'm built for up here, I think. I'm trying to get down there more, but like, it's tough. It's tough, you know?
I feel like we're also just like, it's like comedy is in a different place than it was also like 20, 30 years ago. Now you don't need to be in like a major city to be tied to headliners, like you're saying, and like doing comedy the right way in different areas. You don't need to just be like pouring mics in New York City anymore. So then I feel like it also kind of shows then with like the stuff we're talking about, like you're developing meaning relationships with people through comedy instead of just like showing up to 20 mics in a night and hoping somebody's going to book you off that.
Yeah.
You know?
It's definitely interesting because like you get the reps in, but also like I think about this with Albany too. Albany, like the city, Albany is a much smaller city, but like if you have the opportunity to do mics 7 days a week, what night are you taking to write? You know what I mean? Like what night are you taking to experience life and get that to inspire your writing? You know what I mean? Like obviously you can pull from your job, you can pull from all these things that you do during the day, obviously, but like, unless you're a college student, like if you're working full time and then you're going into a mic every night and then you get done and like all that kind of stuff, like I don't know when you're going to spend time writing, and then you're just going up to the mic every night with like an idea, a semi-polished idea, and then you're just reusing it over and over again until you figure out how good it is. But then by then, since you're in the same community, everybody thinks they already know your joke. You know what I mean? Like that's weird.
Yeah, and like you're saying, you're not experiencing life, you're not living life, you're not interacting with your friend that's going to say something stupid that's going to make you say something funny. You know what I mean? Like just things like that. Like just, and I had a hard time with that around December. I was like, October was my hardest working month in comedy. I was working a lot. I did two different. I did like the O Positive Festival in Kingston, and then through another comic, Michael Agumbiade helped me get on the Catskill Comedy Festival. I was working really hard for that. I did 2 shows in one day that day, and I kind of just lost sight with new material because I was doing so much comedy. I did probably 12 sets in 3 days across like open mics in the city, 2 different shows. I did an open mic in between going to do 4 open mics in the city and doing this show because there was a part of the festival. They did a thing called Show Up and Go Up where basically you could go up more than once. So I did 2 different open mic sets. The day after I did like 3 sets and then did another 3 sets the day after. And I was just on the train ride home. My brain was fried.
Yeah.
Like I realized I had not done anything that wasn't centered around getting to the next comedy thing for like 4 days.
Yeah, that's tough.
And it just made it hard for me to like continue to grow. And I feel like I had to take like 2 months off before I could really start to like grow again as a comic. And now I feel great that I'm like finding that balance.
Yeah, that's awesome. And like, and if you want to speak on this, you can. But like, how long have you been with your girlfriend?
I've been with my girlfriend since early October, so like almost 6 months, I think. Yeah.
Okay, so like, I mean, kind of around then, what you were just talking about, but like, along with dating and doing comedy, like you have to kind of take a step back to be with your partner a little bit,
Yeah, for sure.
And like, I'm not dating for that reason, because I'm scared to step away, but you've taken the leap. How has it been, experience wise? Like, my worry, so this is, I'm just going to speak from my worry, would be like, I feel like I'm taking too much time off. I'm not doing enough stuff. Like, but I mean, on the counterpoint of that, you are getting experiences.
Totally.
So
to that, at that time, like I said, it's around the same time. We actually went on our first date the day that I did the Catskill Comedy Festival.
Okay.
Funny enough. And I had kind of just made it clear that like I am taking comedy very seriously. She understood that, and she wanted to be like supportive of it. First of all, my girlfriend is insanely supportive of me doing comedy, so that's one way that it works for me. I took a step back also because like maybe I didn't want to go fucking sit around 6 other comics and shoot the shit and just get drunk on a Wednesday night. You know what I mean? I was kind of just taking time for that, but also now a lot of my material is like cool relationship material or things about like experiences we have that I know 20, 30 other people that have all had that same experience, and sort of like making a new lane for what I can write. Also, like, I struggled with feeling terrible about not going out to do a lot of comedy, but my girlfriend also kind of helped me with that, like wrangle that in, and now I feel like I'm channeling it into a way where it's healthier for me.
Cool.
Than to just be like working so hard, because I feel like a lot of what I was doing last year, the first year of my comedy career, was to be laying groundwork for me to be super focused on what my plans were going to be for this year, which is like I did a lot of like building community in Kingston and like connecting and getting to know all these people like yourself and people from other areas around here doing comedy, to where now I feel like it's almost attached to me. Like people have an understanding of what I want to do, which is I want to like help produce shows and just take comedy to the next level. So now I feel like I can actually do that. Like with the show I just did Sunday, I had this really great bit about my girlfriend and I buying Plan B.
Okay.
And so that's something that couldn't have happened if I never took a break from comedy. Let me just say that.
I mean, I buy some every once in a while. Just for fun.
Exactly.
I'll take a pill.
You got to stock up. It's Donald Trump's America. We don't know what the fuck's gonna happen. But
that's my plan A.
She's so cool with me writing about that shit too. So it's like now I'm not only having these like weird experiences that I haven't really had before, or like I definitely wouldn't have had when I was just going and doing comedy all the time. But I have somebody who's actually supportive of me talking about that and maybe making her the butt of a joke too, which is awesome.
That's cool. Yeah, that is cool. That's an interesting thing. I'm still scared to do it.
Yeah. No, I was very scared to do it. Let me just tell you that. But go ahead.
Yeah, that's cool. So is your goal to kind of build up the scene in Kingston more? Are you thinking about expanding outside of Kingston?
Yeah. Right now I'm in a weird spot because I've done a lot of comedy, done a lot of hosting, done a lot of performing at friends' open mics in Kingston. But even though I'm still punching up original material, I'm only not even a year in, so it's like my original material definitely still needs work, right? So I'm still punching that stuff up and getting laughs off of it, but I'm running into a point where I'm looking at the same faces in the crowd every 2 months, and they're hearing me say a joke that is good. I feel like it's good, but they've heard it before. While I might be able to make them laugh, it's like I don't want people to keep doing that, and so I want to expand and do more shows like in the immediate surrounding area. Definitely try to get on some stuff in the city, but also take my comedy to different audiences locally if I can. So like I've been trying to work really hard on getting a good tape that I feel like I can submit around to local venues. I'm also going to be working with a venue in Kingston, Assembly, to try to get some headliners to come in and hopefully like they'll want me to be their host and I can try out this material on like real comedy crowds. I got to do that on Sunday. There was a 350 person sold out room and I murdered. Had the best set of my life. My timing was like the best it had ever been. And that felt like I stepped off stage and I was like, that is the fucking reason why I started doing comedy. To do that, to go talk to 350 people at once and feel great about it, kill, all my stuff lands, like people that I know from other aspects are like, holy shit, this guy's funny. That's what people were doing to me after.
Yeah.
And like, that feels great. That's why I want to do it. Just continue to take it to the next level for me, however I can. But also, yes, I would love to put on for Kingston in the local area as much as I could, help other comics like do the same here so that we don't feel like so obligated to go other places to do comedy. Yeah, that's where I'm going this year.
That's cool, man. I love that for you. I think it's pretty cool what you're building over there. You kind of do set up a lot of the scenes over in Kingston for comedy. So I mean, it's like, you've kind of become the face over there for comedy, and like I can relate because I've kind of done it with Rhinebeck here, and it's cool. I dig it. Yeah,
it's nice. It's like, it feels like, to a certain extent, it feels like my peers are also like, here, like, we trust you with this thing that we all love, and like, you and I feel like, I don't mean, I'm saying you as in me, but I feel like you and I are the same. Like, we have a love for this thing that's so strong that it's not even about us at the end of the day. Like, we would do things to put on other people just because we love comedy and we want to see other people do well. And that feels good to be acknowledged by your peers as like somebody who they trust, but also they think is very talented, and they want you to help them take everything to the next level.
Yeah. What's cool is that meeting the comedy person that the comedian that doesn't know they want to be a comedian yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like maybe the comedian that wanted to be a comedian but hasn't tried yet.
Yeah.
And I love that because Jeff Boyle is,
Jeff is awesome.
Jeff is awesome.
I
He's very
love
funny.
Jeff's comedy. Yeah.
Yeah. And he was holding off on comedy for so long. And
he came to the Tubby's open mic, my first one, and he talked to me, and I remember talking to him, and I was like, hey man, just sign up. Like, whatever.
Yeah.
He didn't sign up, and then I remember he ended up starting to do it like after with you. He had
his first open mic was your second Tubby's mic.
Yes.
Yeah. But the thing is like I had started comedy in April of last year, and ever since I like let people know that, I'm trying this thing out, immediately he was just so curious. He was like, oh, when are you doing that? When are you doing that?
Yeah.
And then eventually, like, I hadn't started mics and Krog in a long time, till a long time after that. But eventually I was like, just come watch an open mic, see what it's like, give it. And then as soon as he was done with your first open mic, he's like, I want to try. And I'm like, awesome. So we found a guy, it's cool. Like, I really love, that finding that person or just encouraging that person. Cause I mean, like, he's been on other podcasts and he's been on this podcast and talked to me about like attributing the start to me, but like, that's very nice of him. However, like, he's done all of his own work. He's done all of his own stuff. And it was just like, I think watching somebody that do it kind of helps you be like, oh, it's not like this weird, obscure thing. It's just like this doable thing. So
also that's a great approach of like Jeff, as opposed to the people that think that there's nothing to it. I would say like, that's just like, there's a fine line between somebody who respects the thing and somebody who just thinks that we're going up there and just being funny, So I appreciate that out of him, like he showed care to this thing that we all love, which is awesome.
For sure. I mean, and also like the crowd knows the difference. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, there are some people I've seen gone up there and just riff and have done well, but it's not consistent, and then like, other people that prep so much ahead of time. Like Jeff does an enormous amount of preparation as far as like, he's very thoughtful with his sets. And I can really respect that. But like,
he also, not to cut you off, he does like a shorter joke style. So his word economy is so much. Like, I can see in his voice that he's like saying 6 words, but he's saying 2 of them with such an insane detail on how he inflects it. Like things like that. Yeah.
Very good writing. And he's one of those people that like from the very first open mic, he had his voice.
Oh
yeah. And then for him, it's just a matter of doing more. It's very impressive.
It's funny. I have a premise. In Jeff style, real quick.
Sure.
So I also have my book on the table. This is a podcast, so I'll tell them it's Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. I'm reading it for the first time as an adult. But I was reading it, and J.K. Rowling uses muggle like a slur Right.
Okay.
So, this is a Jeff voice joke. Muggle is my favorite slur with 2 G's. That's it.
I love that. Yeah, I could definitely see if Jeff would comp to being a nerd. I could see him. Yeah, he's too cool for Harry Potter.
At his age, for sure. People my age, it's like that is the cool thing.
Yeah. He definitely grew up reading that shit. He'll never admit it. I know he fucking did.
You like pull fucking War and Peace off the shelf on Jeff's wall, and it's just all Harry Potter. Yeah, 7 different editions.
Yeah, you pull the book down, and the bookcase slides, and it's just this room full of like anime and fucking. This whole thing. That'd be so funny.
Hello Kitty posters.
Yeah. It's with his, it says "Hello Jeff" on there. Yeah. I hope he hears this. That's so great. Awesome, man. We're gonna wrap it up. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you to the Epicurean. Thank you to Radio Free Rhinecliff. Radio Free Rhinecliff. Likable is filmed and recorded with Radio Free Rhinecliff. Thank you to Jen Hammod and Matthew Rosenberg for our producers. And thank you to the Epicurean, which hosts us for each episode. Come in, stop, and shop. Not the store, but here. I say that every time. Maybe you'll catch us on the air. Likable is a comedy-based podcast where experts in absolutely nothing and should not be taken seriously. Consider this your daily dose of questionable wisdom and guaranteed hilarity, we hope. Proceed with caution and a healthy dose of skepticism. AJ, thank you so much for coming today, man.
Thanks for having me, man. This was a blast.
Yeah.
But are you likable?